Right, good evening everyone. Nice to see you, those of you who've managed to tear yourself away from whatever there is on the telly. Firstly, apologies for and welcome to the Executive Board, I should say, for Wednesday the 26th of March. Apologies for absence, Mel.
Thank you. We have apologies from councillors Clapworthy, Dyke, Grady and Wright.
Thank you very much. Declarations of interest. Rick?
Thank you, Leader. Yes, item 16, the vendor is known to me.
Thank you very much. Minutes of the previous meeting. I'm happy to propose. Anybody to second?
Happy to second.
Thank you very much. And item 4, leaders' announcements. So following the recent council meetings, the interim plan for local government reorganisation in Worcestershire was submitted on Friday the 21st of March. We've received a response from the Minister for Local Government and Devolution, thanking us for sharing our progress and informing us that we can expect to receive feedback on our interim plan in the week commencing the 28th of April. As this is likely to be the last meeting of the Exec Board for some time, may I take this opportunity to say good luck to all the candidates standing in the forthcoming County Council elections. And finally, on behalf of the Chairman, can I just confirm that the meeting of Council due to take place on the 16th of April has been postponed, will now take place on the 14th of May, followed by the annual Council meeting. Great, thank you. Okay, Mel, any questions from the public?
No, we have received no questions.
Thank you very much. In that case, I shall move on to item 6, which is the Corporate Peer Challenge Action Plan. So, as you know, we had a visit from the LGA back in last year, in fact, and I just wanted to recap that they gave us a very good and strong report. They said that we are an ambitious council, which is well run. They said that the council demonstrates a high level of self-awareness, and the peer team saw the confidence in the senior member and officer leadership and how the top team are working effectively together. They came forward with a number of findings, something like 8 that they recommended in their report, and we have subsequently pulled together a report which you will see before you now, which draws those into 5 themes. So if you look on page 18 onwards, you'll say the We Are Wychavon plan, which has been pulled together by, I think primarily by Sherry Mansfield, who's here tonight. Thank you very much, Sherry, for doing a sterling job, and also all the other staff who contributed to it. I think it makes a really, both a colourful and easy to read, but also very good and strong response to what is being proposed. And I guess if I was to, it would be difficult to pull out any highlights, but I think if you look through, Sherry has done a good job of highlighting some things in yellow so that you can see how the whole report pulls together. We've got themes of our general, the way we approach planning, and in particular, I suppose, transformation. So that's the We Are Wychavon plan. And I was very pleased to see in that we are promoting the pre-project assessment and approval process, and you know, we've got a template to make sure that we do that with all new projects, and I think that's going to be very helpful. I won't, because I know we've got a number of items to go through, I'm going to assume that everybody's had a look at the plan, and we can take any questions, but the aim of tonight really, as you'll see, is that we recommend the approval of the attached plan, and that we say that we will track the progress of it at 2.2 going forward through our quarterly performance reports to the Exec Board and Overview and Scrutiny Committee. So with that, I'm happy to propose.
Thank you, Leader. Happy to second that recommendation. As you say, it was a very good corporate peer review that we had, and the plan is a comprehensive response to that corporate peer review. It has been developed both through workshops of members, but also of a number of our staff, and so it represents a collective response of the whole council to that corporate peer review. Of course, when the peer review happened, local government reorganisation was but a twinkle in everyone's eye. And subsequently, it has become rather more prominent in our vision. And as a consequence, inevitably, the plan takes a view over the next 2 years rather than perhaps over a longer term. But that does not diminish from it. I think it's still ambitious. I think it still demonstrates that we are responsive, and we will seek to continue to move Wychavon from good to great. And so I second the recommendations.
Thank you, Aaron. Any contributions from councillors? Any questions, thoughts on that? No, thank you. Okay, in that case, we'll take it to the vote. All those in favour?
That's carried.
Thank you very much. Okay, item 7. We're going to look at the procurement strategy, 2024 to 2027. Councillor Aaron Powell.
Thank you, Leader. So the next 3 reports are all in some ways a response to the Procurement Act 2023, which introduced new requirements on us as an authority and required us to review our approach to procurement. The first report is our procurement strategy, which spells out how we will approach procurement, our values that we will seek to adopt in pursuing procurement opportunities, and how we will be transparent and publish data in relation to the procurements that we have undertaken. I think it's important really to just reflect on our values. We say in the report and our strategy that we will aim to be straightforward, that we will make our procurement therefore accessible and easy to understand, that it will be professional, and it will be focused, that it will be clear what we're seeking to procure and why we're seeking to procure it. It is the first time we've reviewed our strategy since 2022, but I think it represents a good step forward for the authority, and I commend it to the council.
Oh, sorry. Apologies.
I'd be delighted to second the recommendation. This is a document which we don't often look at, but it is one of those which are there when we've got procurement policies coming forward. So don't file it at the back of the filing cabinet. Have it there for when we're coming to spend significant amounts of money. So I second the recommendations.
Thank you very much, Councillor Middleborough. We'll take that sound advice. We will keep it front of mind. Any questions or comments from other councillors? No? In that case, we'll take it to the vote. All those in favour of that?
That's carried.
Thank you very much. And then we'll continue, as Aaron mentioned, to the next item, the contract procedure rules.
Thank you, Leader. So the next report starts to instantiate that procurement strategy in our procedure rules, the rules that our staff will follow in carrying out procurements. The substantive changes to our procedure rules are spelled out in the recommendations at 2.1 and are essentially that we will increase the low value financial threshold from £3,000 to £5,000, which I think just reflects the current cost of things that we might seek to procure. That we will add an additional financial threshold of 3 quotes for projects up to £100,000 instead of the current £50,000. So currently, if we need to procure some work that costs less than £50,000, we can do that simply with 3 quotes, rather than following the full tender procedure. That limit will now rise to £100,000. However, there will still be a distinction between the £50,000 mark and the £100,000 mark, in that below £50,000, the quotes can be evaluated by price alone, whereas between £50,000 and £100,000, they will be evaluated by a combination of price and quality. So I think that reflects the additional value of those contracts. And the third recommendation delegates authority to the Director of Legal and Governance to authorise the updating of these rules. They are quite detailed. They are procedural rules that officers will follow. I will be very happy to take members through them one by one, should you wish, but I'm guessing that might not be top of your mind this evening. And so I put the recommendations to the Executive Board.
Thank you. And to second, I've got Councillor Richard Morris.
Thank you, Leader. I should take you up on your request, Aaron. I'm very happy to second the recommendations in 2.1. Similar to the last paper, but as Councillor Powell has outlined, this is good in the sense that it puts a very clear policy that all staff must follow and gives very clear guidelines. So I'm happy to support that.
Thank you, Richard. Right, in that case, any questions from the other councillors here? No, on that one. Let's take it to the vote. All those in favour?
That's carried.
Thank you very much. In that case, we'll move on to item 9, financial regulations, and Councillor Aaron Powell once more.
Thank you, Leader. The third of my exciting reports this evening. Whilst the contract procedure rules are a set of rules that officers will follow in carrying out our procurement, the financial regulations take that to a different level and are effectively part of the Constitution and reflect the way in which we manage our money. These have been updated and amended to include reference to the revised contract procedure rules. And therefore, this final report simply instantiates those procedure rules in our broader financial regulations, and I commend them to the Executive Board.
Thank you, and I'm very happy to second that. This looks like excellent bedtime reading for any member of staff. Important, but possibly soporific. Any questions from our other councillors? Okay, in that case, we'll take it to the vote. All those in favour?
Did someone second?
That was me, sorry,
Okay.
yes. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, that's carried.
Thank you very much. Yes, and I should say it's a nicely laid out document, so my thanks to all the team that have put in, no doubt, a lot of hard work into its 50-odd plus pages. Right, let's move on to item 10, the Intelligently Green Annual Update. Councillor Beverley Hardman.
I'd like to say, first of all, there's a lot of work gone into this for a lot of people, so thank you all for the work they've done. This is the update for 2023-24 Intelligent Green Plan. Well, so far, since we started in 2019, we've saved over 1,100 tonnes of emissions, and we've done things like hydrated vegetable oil and waste collection in parks. We've upgraded this centre. We have got going to the end of the year, apply for a grant to help us with the leisure centre, which is our biggest use of carbon at the moment. We have a few challenges, I would say, getting people walking as much as we'd like to, or cycling. So any of you can help encourage people on shorter journeys to do that, we appreciate it. But we are working towards our target, and we're also working towards targets like renewable energy increasing, the economy of the carbon economy is going to double by 2030, which is going to bring employment to the area. So it's a multi-team, it's not just, it's well done for the whole group who've done this, so thank you very much indeed. I hope you recommend it and approve what we're doing, but any feedback or anything you want to know about it, please ask.
Thank you very much, Beverley. Right, I'm going to hand over to Councillor Rob Adams. Rob.
Yeah, happy to second, Leader. When you look at this report and read into it, there's a lot of areas on there, so I recommend if you want to leave your noddy book alone tonight, when you get back, have a read through it. I don't mean to be facetious, it is important. It's come a long way over this period, and well done to the officers that dealt with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. And I agree with you. I think actually when you look through, there are some encouraging graphs in here, page on 156 and 154, where we do seem to be meeting the trend that we're looking for, which is great. Very, very encouraging. Any questions from other councillors on this? Councillor Mark Ward.
Just one quick question. I seem to remember the waste vehicles were trialled on vegetable oil. What was the result of that, and is there any more development on the waste, because that's quite a significant proportion? And I was just curious, I remember there was a trial of it, but not quite sure what happened to that and whether it's worth revisiting.
Good question, thank you.
I've got a figure of 200 tonnes, but Tim will know more.
Thank you, yeah. So we have been implementing hydro-treated vegetable oil in the waste vehicles. This report shows that we've already made a saving from using it in 6 vehicles of a couple of 100 tonnes. Actually, when we do the monitoring for the current year we're in, that's now expanded, I think, to 18 vehicles. So the carbon saving from that is going to be even bigger. So it's been a real success story.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Mark. Any other questions? Oh, sorry, Matt. Beg your pardon. Where did I get Tim from? Any apologies. My apologies. Any other questions? No? All right. In that case, are we happy to approve?
That's carried.
Super. Thank you. Right. Then we'll move on to item 11, the assessment of the elimination of herbicides trial. Councillor Beverley Hardman once more.
This was a trial for 12 months to go chemical free in last April, and it was used in our parks and open spaces. The contractors were going to removed all the weeds by hand or with tools. However, some of this method did not work everywhere. It caused damage to tarmac and half surfaces, and it's been difficult to erode from certain places. But we did find it was successful in planted areas. So going forward, we are going to reduce what we used to use before we're using herbicides, but we will only use it on hard surfaces, and if it's used in planted areas, it will only be used if it's signed off by a senior member of the parks team. So that's going to be a reduction as much as we possibly can. We're always working on reducing this use, but sometimes, sadly, some of the plants beat us and we have to use the herbicide. I hope you pass this. Thank you.
Thank you, Beverley. Very good. Right. And seconding that, Councillor Rob Adams once more. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy to second this. 12 months ago when this paper come before us, I had reservations, and wearing my, I suppose, ex-farmer's hat now, or farmer's hat there, I use herbicide for 30 years, and the product is generally used and safe. I thought 12 months ago we would have a job to, deal with 100% of the weeds, and it has shown through. But it's had a good trial, and it's worked really well. A lot of work, but there will be, I do think, going forward, certain places we will have to use sprays. I think it's just common sense. It's had a good trial, it's been successful, but we just got to accept common sense. It says there will be places we will have to spray. So I'm happy to second on that basis.
Thank you, Rob. Any comments? Right. Councillor Tucker.
I'd just like to ask a question about when we say hard surfaces, I presume we mean tarmac areas, and presumably the stuff that grows up through the cracks in tarmac. And I can understand that. But things like round posts, going around the posts and things like that, I'm presuming they can be dealt with by pushing back the grass a bit and filling with stone, and therefore be able to create it. So I'm not terribly clear on how much herbicide will still have to be used, because I think it's an excellent approach that's been taken.
Thank you, Councillor Tucker. I mean, yes, it's a good question. I think we probably can give you some sort of thoughts on how much the reduction is, I believe. I remember we hearing about it in terms of litres. I'll ask Ian if he could start.
Yes, I think one of the key recommendations here is about the reuse of the funding that's being saved from not doing the mechanical to reinvest, and we suspect there's going to be £40,000-50,000 to reinvest in biodiversity measures, which suggests that there's going to be about half of the herbicides used. In case of the posts, that is certainly something that the parks team would be looking at. We'd be looking at doing that first before we thought of using herbicides, which never looks great anyway around those posts.
I think if you could do round posts and gate posts and things like that, it gives a great impression as opposed to the yellow, dead.
Yes, I know what you mean. I mean, I think, having said that, I think we've done a really good job, the Parks team, in having a good go at this. I'm pleased that we did the trial, and I think we've learned a lot from it. I think what Councillor Hardman was saying is right. We're going to be getting it down to the minimum that's sensibly possible. I think we operate an intelligently green plan. We're not ideological about it, I suppose, is what I'm saying. And I think we've operated sensibly within that. Thank you. And
I think the Parks team might have been surprised by the success of hand weeding in the open areas, and they will keep a look on like your post areas, and they don't want things looking bad in the our award-winning parks. They're not going to want that. But occasionally it might be some weed that you really, really can't get rid of any other way. But they'll be so careful. They've got to sign it off. They're going to be really limited what they use it for, and only when they have to, because obviously image and looks also matter.
thank you. In that case, we would like to vote on this. If we've had all comments from the floor, all those in favour?
That's carried.
Very good. Okay, in that case, we're now moving on to item 12, the UK Shared Prosperity Fund and Rural England Prosperity Fund updates. So, Councillor Richard Morris.
Thank you, Leader. Yes, it's pleased to bring this to Exec Board tonight. You can see very clearly the purpose of the summary to request approval for the headline projects identified in Appendix 1 for delivery of UK SPF in 25-26. It also says the Rural England Prosperity Fund, but we're still waiting for more details on that, to be honest. And you can see the second recommendation there, saying once we have more information, we'll come forward with that. But yeah, we're asking for delegated authority to progress it. So I'm moving recommendations in 2.1 and 2.2. Just to put it into context, if you've read the background, you will see that we were very, very fortunate last time with the UK Shared Prosperity Fund, where we had nigh on £4 million to deliver local investment across the themes of community play, support a local business and people and skills. And I think that has been phenomenally beneficial to Wychavon, and we have a massive amount of projects that we can be really proud of as an authority and that have been delivered. From me personally, I would say that the place boards in Droitwich, Evesham and Pershore have delivered significantly to enhance the place, the towns that they're supporting, and that in part has been with the UK Shared Prosperity Fund as a good lever to enable them to do that. I think the structure and involving local business has also been a big factor. But you will see from 4 million in 3.3 that we go down to 1.3 million in terms of the 25-26, so a reduction of 2.5 million thereabouts. So we have to be very guarded and much more careful this time round in terms of how we pass the funds around. And if you look at Appendix 1, I think Elspeth, Sean and Ian and the whole economy team in trying to come up with the recommendation, because it's a difficult task enough, particularly when the budgets have gone down. But you can see how we're looking to split it amongst community grants, Wychavon marketing, event support, place boards, business support programmes, the Growth Hub, which is through County Council, and indeed we are still probably the biggest contributor to the Growth Hub at County. Certainly we tend to usually lead the line on that, but we do have the most businesses, and we are economic led within Wychavon. It's been our strength year on year that we look at prosperity of our businesses. And you can see lower down there in terms of creation of commercial space, careers, Wychavon, skills and apprenticeship. We've leaning the money in that direction because that is where the market is telling us there is the biggest demand for potential take-up. So we're trying to ensure that we have the UK Shared Prosperity Fund enabling us to actually maximise on the opportunity presented there and to skill up Wychavon. So happy to take any questions, but that is the recommendation, and I put it to the Exec Board. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. And Councillor Paul Middleborough.
Thank you, Leader. I'm very pleased to second the recommendations, but at the same time, I'm disappointed in the sense that we don't know what the rural funding is going to be. So I don't know if the Chancellor said anything today about it. There seem to be lots of allocations of money for different reasons, different areas across government, which are sort of all being left to the end of March to come with. But I hope we can have a good story to bring back to you later in the year.
Thank you very much, Paul. Okay, any questions from other councillors on that? No? Oh, yes, Councillor Mark Ward.
Just an observation. I think it's an excellent sort of strategy in terms of the reduced funds available now. So, I mean, I think it's excellent in that the way it's been divided. So, I think it's excellent.
Thank you, Mark, and I agree with you. I think there's a good deal of logic behind the allocation based on the circumstances that we're faced with. Right, in that case, I'll take it to the vote. All those in favour?
That's carried.
Thank you very much. Item 13, references from committees. So, Councillor Rob Adams once more. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. Would you permit me to say how nice it is to see Mark Ward back amongst us? He's been through the wars and all the rest of it over the last few months, and it's good to see you again, Mark. I think everybody shares that. So on this item 13, this is a recommendation from the Communities and Funding Advisory Panel held on the 10th of March, and it follows the trend a little bit. There's a bit of a trend, isn't there, from the communities and what's being asked for. Again, over exercise equipment. I think at the last board meeting, it was Pershaw that asked for the weights and bars. I don't know if you remember there. We were all going to go down. Well, I wasn't, but I think there was an invitation to go and test those bars. But that was open to Dan Boatwright to take the lead, and he hasn't rung me up about it, so I think I'm going to forget about that one. However, this is an ask of £10,000, which isn't the total cost. I must say, Offenham Parish have put money in themselves to install of 9 pieces of exercise equipment and a table tennis. This is outside, and this is located at the recreation grounds adjacent to the village hall. So once again, good use of it. More fit we are and all the rest of it, that's got to be right that we should support it there. So with that, I move the recommendation A, B and C on the agenda. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you very much, Rob. Councillor Rick Dellett, second.
Thank you, Leader. I would like to actually second both of Rob's comments. One, how great it is to see you, Mark. But also, I'm happy to second this paper.
Thank you. And Councillor Aaron Powell.
Thank you, Leader. As it is in my ward, I just want to express my thanks to the Communities and Funding Advisory Panel for making this recommendation. I know that the provision of this equipment was well supported when the Parish Council carried out a survey of the village recently, and is already being well supported by the residents of the village. So I'm sure it will be welcomed, and I thank them for the contribution.
Thank you. It does seem like great news all round. In that case, I think we'll, unless there are any other comments, we'll take it to the vote. All those in favour?
That's carried.
Thank you. So item 14, write-off of debts. Councillor Aaron Powell.
Thank you, Leader. Less good news, but members will recognise that this is a periodic report that we receive every 6 months, updating us on the provision in relation to council tax debts and business rate debts that have had to be written off. They're not written off lightly. We do seek to pursue these debts for as far as we possibly can through all legal means, but there does come a point when, unfortunately, we do have to write off some of these debts, and the numbers are in the report as specified. In both cases, the numbers are below our bad debt provision. So we have, in a sense, the money in the accounts to cover the debts that we are having to write off. There has been a trend of increasing council tax arrears that we are watching closely to ensure that it doesn't become out of hand. But I do think it's important to recognise that the figures here represent the bad debt in relation to the whole of the council tax bill, including the proportion that is county and the various precepts. It is not simply the Wychavon District Council portion of the council tax that is represented in these figures. And with that, I move the recommendations.
Thank you very much, Aaron, and I'm very happy to second this. I agree with your comments about the rise in arrears. It is something that we have to keep an eye on, but in general, the proportion of write-offs is very low, so we should be pleased with that. Any comments from other councillors on this item? Good. In that case, let's take a vote. All those in favour?
That's carried.
Okay, we'll move on to item 15, where we are going to